Congressman French Hill. He is the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee. Mr. Chairman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And, of course, your colleagues in the Senate will meet once again today, try once again, to pass the House already passed Clean CR. Your thoughts on this, on the impact?
Well, Maria, it's good to be with you. I don't understand why Democrats are holding federal workers, our National Guard, our military hostage for asking for $1.5 trillion in new spending, doing away with work requirements for able-bodied Americans that 80% of Americans support, and trying to go back and extend a tax credit for insurance companies that was put in place by the Democrats in the pandemic. None of this makes any sense to me. We have work to do here in Washington, and so that's why I really invite all of your listeners, particularly listeners in states that have Democratic senators, call 202-224-6545, Chuck Schumer's office, and let's get the government back open. 202-224-6445? 6542. 6542. Okay.
That's 6542. That's Chuck Schumer's office.
He would love to hear from American people on why we're holding our military pay hostage so that the Democrats can take away work requirements for able-bodied people or hold up and ask for $1.5 trillion in new spending. Look, the whole point of the appropriations process, which Chuck Schumer has shut down, is to negotiate spending for fiscal 26.
Yeah.
We need the clarity of getting that done in order to have our economy functioning in the right way. And look, you just heard from the Fed governor. We don't have the data to support macroeconomic decision-making because we've furloughed the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yeah, well, this is obviously a national security issue now. It has become a national security threat. But your colleagues on the left have been attacking President Trump literally for 10 years. And, you know, they didn't care that that was a national security threat when they were saying Russia, 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 and all the while China was eating our lunch and, in fact, setting up all these supply chains. So now we are completely reliant on China. So they've gotten us here. I suspect they really don't care right now that we are in another national security threat because they have been for the last 10 years. They want to just simply take their political enemy down.
We're coming out of just really a real hangover from COVID and from the Xi government in Beijing. And we need Republicans and Democrats working together to right-size trade, to protect American industry and trade abroad, to protect our supply chains for pharmaceuticals, for national security supply chain, but to make sure that our markets are open and protect the world from China's predatory lending practices, which dominate the global South.
And, of course, the predatory lending practices is one of a string of things that the Chinese Communist Party has been doing to undermine not just the United States, but the rest of the world as well. What do you want to see in terms of President Trump's pushback here? I mean, Mr. Chairman, you're in touch with all the major banks, of course, and you are getting a sense of what's going on when you're speaking with leadership at these banks. And they have operations in China. John Ratcliffe has told me many times that the Chinese MO is rob, replicate, replace. In other words, take intellectual property, rob it, replicate that, and then replace the company altogether. It doesn't appear that it's going to end well for American companies that want to set up shop in China, given that MO of rob, replicate, replace. So what do you want to say to corporate America and President Trump in terms of how he should be dealing with this new bullying tactic of Xi Jinping of export controls on rare earth minerals?
Well, I think the number one way is how you started the top of the show, which is we need to have a resilient supply chain for national security, pharmaceutical purposes. And the entire economy around the world outside China has been asleep at the switch for over a decade.
Right.
Regarding their cornering the market in processing strategic minerals and also having the primary compounds in pharmaceuticals. So how do we fight back? We have a trade policy that unites Europe, Latin America, the United States, G7 countries, South Korea and Japan against the predatory mercantilistic policies of China. And that's why I really support us getting our trade arrangements in line with our partners and allies around the world so that we have the clout of that big chunk of Chinese exports and Chinese supply chain that we can say, look, we're switching. We're moving away from China if you don't get your act together.
Yeah, well, I want to move on to crypto. New York City Mayor Eric Adams signed an executive order yesterday establishing the Office of Digital Assets and Blockchain in the Big Apple, the first office of its kind in the United States. Give us your reaction there, and can you give us a sense of where the Clarity Act stands now? No government open, so government shutdown. Is that also impacting the future of these digital assets legislation, the Clarity Act?
Yeah, well, first of all, New York has been a leader in digital assets in the United States. They've licensed the concept of a stable coin. They've licensed digital asset providers. And so they've had a robust business growth there. But we want to extend that across the country with common federal rules, which is why President Trump signed the Genius Act into law in July, and why we need the Senate now to pass the Clarity Act, which narrowly got 300 votes in the House, a strong bipartisan decision by the House. We need the clarity of a market framework that will benefit New York, Florida, and all across our nation, that America can lead the digital asset revolution that's taking place in finance.
So where does it stand?
Well, the shutdown doesn't help things, but last week I made some calls in the Senate, both in the Senate Agriculture Committee, Senate Banking Committee, and I found both Democrats and Republicans working constructively to get to yes on clarity, but we're being delayed by this shutdown. So call Chuck's office at 224-6542 and let him know we need to open the government.
You said it was 202-224-6542.
That's it.
I got the number. All right.
Great to be with you, Maria.
Thank you, Congressman. French Hill on Capitol Hill. We'll be right back.
When you can't watch, listen. Get the